Welcome. This is Soothing Whispers ASMR. As always, if there are any sound or words you would like to hear me perform, please leave them below in the comments. Tonight I thought that we could enjoy some more of Aesop's famous fables, beginning with the fox and the crab. A crab one day grew disgusted with the sands in which he lived. He decided to take a stroll to the meadow not far inland. There he would find better fare than briny water and sand mites. So off he crawled to the meadow. But there a hungry fox spied him, and in a twinkling ate him up, both shell and claw. Moral: be content with your lot. Easy, relax. The Serpent and the Eagle. A serpent had succeeded in surprising an eagle and had wrapped himself around the eagle's neck. The eagle could not reach the serpent, neither with beak nor claws. Far into the sky he soared, trying to shake off his enemy. But the serpent's hold only tightened, and slowly the eagle sank back to earth, gasping for breath. A countryman chanced to see the unequal combat. In pity for the noble eagle, he rushed up and soon had loosened the coiling serpent and freed the eagle. The serpent was furious. He had no choice to bite the watchful countryman. Instead, he struck at the drinking horn hanging at the countryman's belt, and into it let fly the poison of his fangs. The countryman now went on toward home. Becoming thirsty on the way, he filled his horn at a spring and was about to drink. There was a sudden rush of great wings. Sweeping down, the eagle seized the poisoned horn from out of his savior's hands and flew away with it to hide it where it could never be found. Moral: an act of kindness is well repaid. Question: if the serpent had struck the drinking horn and left holes behind, wouldn't the traveler have noticed when he filled the water that it was leaking, and perhaps not have drunk from his drinking horn at all? And this is why my friends don't allow me to talk during movies, because either I make accurate predictions or I ask annoying questions that ruin the film for everybody else. But I'm better with the fables. Relax. Easy. The wolf in sheep's clothing. A certain wolf could not get enough to eat because of the watchfulness of the shepherds. But one night he found a sheep's skin that had been cast aside and forgotten. The next day, dressed in the skin, the wolf strolled into the pasture with the sheep. Soon a little lamb was following him about, and was quickly led away to slaughter. That evening the wolf entered the fold with the flock, but it happened that the shepherd took a fancy for mutton broth that very evening, and, picking up a knife, went to the fold. There the first he laid hands on and killed was the wolf. Moral: the evildoer often comes to harm through his own deceit. Next up is the bull and the goat. A bull once escaped from a lion by entering a cave which the goatherds used to house their flocks in stormy weather and at night. It happened that one of the goats had been left behind, and the bull had no sooner got inside than this goat lowered his head and made a rush at him, butting him with his horns. As the lion was still prowling outside the entrance to the cave, the bull had to submit to this insult. "Do not think," the bull said, "that because I submit to your cowardly treatment, because I am afraid of you, when that lion leaves, I'll teach you a lesson you won't soon forget." Moral: it is wicked to take advantage of another's distress. The Eagle and the Beetle. A beetle once begged the eagle to spare a hare which had run to her for protection, but the eagle pounced upon her prey, the sweep of her great wings tumbling the beetle a dozen feet away. Furious at the disrespect shown her, the beetle flew to the eagle's nest and rolled out the eggs. Not one did she spare. The eagle's grief and anger knew no bounds. But who had done the cruel deed she did not know. Next year the eagle built her nest far up on a mountain crag, but the beetle found it and again destroyed the eggs. In despair, the eagle now implored great Jupiter to let her place her eggs in his lap. There none would dare harm them. But the beetle buzzed about Jupiter's head and made him rise to drive her away, and the eggs rolled from his lap. Now the beetle told the reason for her action, and Jupiter had to acknowledge the justice of her cause. And they say that ever after, while the eagle's eggs lie in the nest in spring, the beetle still sleeps in the ground, for so Jupiter commanded. Moral: even the weakest may find means to avenge a wrong. Next up, we have the Old Lion and the Fox. an old lion whose teeth and claws were so worn that it was not so easy for him to get food as in his younger days, pretended that he was sick. He took care to let all his neighbors know about it, and then lay down in his cave to wait for visitors. And when they came to offer him their sympathy, he ate them up one by one. The fox came too, but he was very cautious about it. Standing at a safe distance from the cave, he inquired politely after the lion's health. The lion replied that he was very ill indeed, and asked the fox to step in for a moment. But Master Fox very wisely stayed outside, thanking the lion very kindly for the invitation. I should be glad to do as you ask, he added, but I have noticed that there are many footprints leading into your cave and none coming out. Pray tell me, how do your visitors find their way out again? Moral: take warning from the misfortunes of others. The Man and the Lion. A lion and a man chanced to travel in company through the forest. They soon began to quarrel, for each of them boasted that he and his kind were far superior to the other, both in strength and in mind. Now they reached a clearing in the forest, and there stood a statue. It was a representation of Hercules in the act of tearing the jaws of the Nemean lion. See, said the man, that's how strong we are. The king of beasts is like wax in our hands. Ho, laughed the lion, a man made that statue. It would have been quite a different scene had a lion made it. Moral: it all depends on the point of view and who tells the story. That is very, very true. Just lie back and close your eyes. Close your eyes and listen to the stories. The Ass and the Lapdog. There was once an ass whose master also owned a lapdog. This dog was a favorite and received many a pat and kind word from his master, as well as choice bits from his plate. Every day the dog would run to meet the master, frisking playfully about and leaping up to lick his hands and face. All this the ass saw with much discontent. Though he was well fed, he had much work to do. Besides, the master hardly ever took any notice of him. Now the jealous ass got it into his silly head that all he had to do to win his master's favor was to act like the dog. So one day he left his stable and clattered eagerly into the house. Finding his master seated at the dinner table, he kicked up his heels and with a loud bay pranced giddily around the table, upsetting it as he did so. Then he planted his forefeet on his master's knees and rolled out his tongue to lick the master's face, as he had seen the dog do. But his weight upset the chair, and the ass and man rolled over together in the pile of broken dishes from the table. The master was very much alarmed at the strange behavior of the ass, and calling for help soon attracted the attention of the servants. When they saw the danger the master was in from the clumsy beast, they set upon the ass and drove him with kicks and blows back to the stable. There they left him to mourn the foolishness that had brought him nothing but a sound beating. Moral: behavior that is regarded as agreeable in one is very rude and impertinent in another. Do not try to gain favor by acting in a way that is contrary to your own nature and character. That makes me think about my dog. First, while I have a dog that is lapdog sized, I do not have a lapdog. I have a next to your lapdog. She much prefers cuddling rather than, being in the lap. One of her morals does, in fact, seem to be never waste a warm body, which would be deeply creepy were she anyone other than a very cute small dog. But as it is, she gets away with anything she wants. Our final fable for the evening will be The Milkmaid and Her Pail. A milkmaid had been out to milk the cows and was returning from the field with the shining milk pail balanced nicely on her head. As she walked along, her pretty head was busy with plans for the days to come. This good, rich milk, she mused, will give me plenty of cream to churn. The butter I make I will take to market, and with the money I get for it I will buy a lot of eggs for hatching. How nice it will be when they are all hatched and the yard is full of fine young chicks. Then, when May Day comes, I will sell them, and with the money I'll buy a lovely new dress to wear to the fair. All the young men will look at me. They will come and try to proposition me, but I shall very quickly send them about their business. As she thought of how she would settle that matter, she tossed her head scornfully, and down fell the pail of milk to the ground. And all the milk flowed out, and with it vanished butter and eggs and chicks and new dress, and all the milkmaids cried. Moral: do not count your chickens before they are hatched. I think we've all heard that moral repeated to us a time or two before. Or maybe that was just my family, but I definitely know that expression. Calm. Lie back, relax, and drift away. And with that, I fear we have come to the end of our video. As always, I wish you a wonderful day and a wonderful night. Sweet dreams.